Yeah, I always forget. So I am remembering now.
Yeah, he's in Hong Kong.
Oh, really?
Ivan Young's in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. Right, I'm gonna share my screen. Hang on a sec. Okay. So can you see the screen? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I think since quite a few people are already in, then we shall start. Are you ready, Dato Aliyah?
I'm fine, Doc. Throughout the next hour, so you can call me Alia, and that's so much.
Dato lagi best lah. Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I'm really glad to see there are quite a number of you who are interested in the topic. I am looking forward to hear your opinion as well. So we're going to have a good discussion tonight about the topic, how do we take care of our minds or our mental health? I think this is a topic that is not being discussed more often, and that's why I wanted to highlight this, and I couldn't think anyone better to do this webinar tonight than Aliyah with me. I want to start first with a poll. Yeah? So I usually start my webinar with a poll. So my question is, does your health insurance policy currently includes mental health coverage? So it's yes, no, or you have no idea. So this is, we heard from Rupa, who is from America. She told me earlier that in America it's covered. Malaysia, I'm not too sure, right? So, okay, so we all have answered already, and I'll show you the result. So most of us, the health insurance doesn't cover mental health. So 70% doesn't cover. Only 1% really knows that it is covered, and then the rest tak tahu. Yeah. So that shows currently in Malaysia how this topic still in the back of the mind of everybody, including the health insurance, and there is still a lot of work that we need to do on this topic. Yep. Okay. So from my side, a little bit of introduction about me. Most of you know me already. I am a medical doctor, not practicing, but working in pharma company. I have worked in a few countries already abroad, and I've been back in Malaysia for the last 6 years, working for the same company, Boehringer Ingelheim, a German company. And in the last couple of years, I've been more focused about career development. And my advice to people when you want to think about your career move is you need to look at your CV, how good it is. LinkedIn page is more important these days. How good is your interview skill, presentation skill, your work performance has to be tip-top, obviously. And then the image, personal branding, and how good your networking is. So I've done many webinars already, and the QR code is to the YouTube recording of all this episode. And today, the topic about mental health, and next week is about physical health. I put it under basically the work performance. So you need to be healthy for you to be able to work optimally. So that's why it's very important that you are able to manage your mental health and then also your physical health. So it's still part of this as part of your career growth. So tonight, I obviously have Dato Aliyah here. And as you know, some of you know already, she is the founder of Yayasan Health on World, which has a big focus on the mental health. And with that, I let Aliyah introduce herself more tonight.
Hi, thanks, Ataza, my friend, my neighbor. Hi, everyone, and thank you firstly for coming in. A little bit of disclaimer in that sense that firstly, whatever I'm going to share is a lot about my own journey and my experience dealing with people, running the foundation, and it does not represent me as an expert on mental health where you take everything I say literally, but I would like to have some open, honest conversations and a little bit more sharing so that together we come to some realization on what this mental health is all about. So I think one of the things that Dato Azhar, I think, asked me, and I'll skip him asking me and tell you straight away about how I got involved in this. It all started when, yeah, there you go. So yeah, actually I, excuse me, I was the CEO of a medical organization, a non-profit organization for a public listed company. It was very large, and we deal with dialysis, and that's where I actually first probably met Dato Azhar many years ago. Throughout that tenure of 2 decades as a CEO, I must say that there were many challenges that I did not recognize, in the sense that when you are a CEO, you are a leader, whether it's doctors that look up to you or come to you for requests and answers, you have doctors reporting to you. And then you also have this whole wide bunch of nurses who deal with you, report to you. You have patients. And on the other end, you also have the corporate board. So I have a couple of boards, from the corporate side board to the managing board, the board of trustees for the foundation that I was leading, and also the EXCO committee. So I was very much involved in both the corporate side as well as the non-profit side. It took me 20 years, only when I was about to leave, which I'll tell you a little bit later, to realize that I was the person that many people came to for answers, not about the mental health, but realistically, everyone sort of looked up. And I think when you are in a leadership, or I believe when you're in a leadership position, without realizing, you will have a lot of people look up to you and want you making the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in 2019, what had happened was I had somehow decided that I wanted to leave. But I had no one to speak to, because anyone you speak to in this very large organization with almost 200 people that you deal with on a daily basis is going to trigger points are going to go, some waves are going, shocking waves are going to, reach out there and worry a lot of people, including the 1,000 patients that I had, saying that after 2 decades, I was going to leave the organization. Now, a lot of my time was in this organization. Now, my family is away. I'm thinking, who do I actually speak to have honest conversations like, do I leave? Do I stay? What do I do? If I leave, what do I do? If I stay, will I be able to cope? And, and I was getting very tired, because I was traveling to many of the countries, especially in Asia Pacific, to train, to teach, to set up charity organizations, as well as charity medical centers and hospitals. So in 2019, I met my partner, my current partner now for Yayasan Health and World, Dr. Sangeeta, in Penang. We were both speakers in Penang. And when we came back, she reached out to me saying she wanted to set up a foundation. Now, she is a counselor by profession, and she is, when I was listening to her sharing, I managed to pick up quite a bit of things, because mental health was not, I was not focused on mental health, although I was very much in the medical industry over that 2 decades, right? So when she spoke to me about the foundation, and she said, would you like to get involved? The last thing on my mind was another foundation, honestly. I was like, no. We do not want to go in another foundation. We do not want to raise any more funds. We do not want to advocate, just, I'm trying to get out of this mess sort of thing. But eventually, I promised to help her to set up a foundation. And I did some homework then on mental health and the space that, and I found that it was a taboo. People were not discussing mental health in Malaysia. We're talking about 2019, pre-COVID. Yeah. And it was, it's just that every time you tell somebody, oh, what do you think about setting up a mental health foundation? They are like, are you okay? Everyone sort of jumped to think that I was going through something or other, where a little bit cuckoo in that sense, going off like, you okay? Suddenly you want to set up mental health. Or the most frequent question I got was, why? Why mental health? So I thought, okay, I need more work in this space. Let me just set it up for her. And then she appointed me as the chair because she could not get involved because she had her own private company to run. So, all right, all in 2020. And that was also the time I made my decision to quit because I wanted to pursue something. And 2020, I quit. And my last day in the organization was the first day of lockdown, COVID lockdown. Coincidentally, it's also my birthday. So everything came together. And we were thrown at the end of the ocean to swim, literally whether we could or we couldn't, because they gave us the approval for the foundation on 20th of May 2020, 2 months after the COVID hit, where people were scrambling for help, people were losing jobs, people were committing suicide, right? And you know the whole thing about not enough medical supplies, a lot of things were going on in Malaysia, which is very worrying, as well as very sad. We were in a very sad state during that point of time. So whether I liked it or not, this is like picking up a rifle and trying to go to war when you don't even know how to fight the battle, sort of thing. But I decided that was the best time to learn. So I sat in with every psychologist that we had on board. I sat in with every psychiatrist that came on to give talks, counseling sessions. We opened these up, and I did a lot of research on this. And I thought, okay, this is a space. It was more for people. Again, I wasn't thinking of myself, but it came to me that I need to be strong and understand this before I even can share. So until today, I'm a little bit cautious when I share, because again, this is a heavy topic and a heavy space, and you need to be very careful when you want to share in this space. So I'd rather say I'm a mental health advocate, and see how we go from there. Okay, Dr. So that's how I got. Yeah,
that's how you got interest. No, I think it's a topic that, as you said, when we are in hospital, we see when people come with problem, we see it as normal stress. It's not about mental health. It's like, oh, it's normal stress. So just cope with it. Yeah. And for me, how I got interested is when I wrote in my LinkedIn today, when I came back to Malaysia, I thought, and I struggle with adjusting to Malaysia. Believe it or not, I am truly Malaysian. But when I came back, I really did struggle a little bit with the work, and then more with the life, the family life, the relatives that coming out of everywhere, every corner, and I didn't know how to deal with that. And somebody suggested that I should see a counselor, and of course my first reaction is, hey, I'm a doctor, why do I need to see a counselor? Yeah? I can handle myself. But there was a point when I actually had road rage. So that was the point when I knew, okay, this is now crazy. I remember that incident. I was so angry with situation, and when this guy cut me up, I had road rage. So that's when I thought, okay, this is serious. I need to talk to someone, and that's been a revelation. Yeah, it's been a revelation to get some help in that area. But first of all, you need to be able to throw your ego out.
Yeah,
throw your ego out to say that I need help, and that's where I see many of the problems currently when people come to me with a problem, and then I can only do so much. Like you said, Aliyah, that we are not trained counselors, we are not expert. I can only give my perspective, but you need to get professional help, and that's where people hesitate. That's when they go, oh, I'm not that unwell, but whatever that unwell is. Yeah. So it is very interesting. And even today I got a message earlier after someone saw the post and said, you don't look like you have mental health. And I didn't reply to say what were you expecting, somebody with long hair, unkempt and unwashed, or I'm not sure. Yeah. So yeah, then we move on to the next one. We touched it a little bit already. Why is it still not widely discussed? And there's a big difference. Rupa is online from America, where this is much more widely discussed. I think Malaysia is still far behind from that. And And Aliyah, from your experience now working in yayasan, when you go out there, what do you think is still the main problem when it comes to discussing it?
Yeah, thanks. I think I mean, no one's going to deny it, but we have made some progress after COVID or post-COVID or during COVID. Everyone started to talk about mental health. Prior to that, it was a very taboo subject. I don't think anyone's going to deny that. But I think lack of understanding, firstly, lack of understanding, the fear and the discrimination seems to be one of the key reasons why people do not want to discuss this openly, right? So the lack of understanding is when they don't know how to even reach out to people or what would people say. So this fear of discrimination, judgment, right? Oh, you think I have a mental health problem? Those kind of things seem to be one of the key reasons why people don't want to discuss mental health topic, because they already assume and make that assumption that you would now throw that back to them and say, you actually have mental health problem. Something is wrong with you. You are cuckoo, you need help, you need this, you need that. And they already brand you as such. So having fear of that is why people rather not say that they are not healthy. Firstly, I think people need to understand that mental health, we're not talking about mental health sickness where you are diagnosed and you need to be confined in a space where you are sheltered and no one sees you and you get medication 24/7 and you are sometimes even tied up. Those are of very different and severe kind of mental illnesses. But we're not going down that road at this moment. We're just talking about even having a discussion to say, look, I'm not feeling okay. Because generally, when you go around, I mean, try this test tomorrow, right? You go around and ask your friends and you say, hey, how are you? I think someone did that just now. And your first reaction would be, I'm fine, thank you. Why? Because from young, we were trained to reply, I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Or say, we're good, we're okay. That's it. But 5 minutes down that conversation and you hear, my mother is sick, I had a fall, I have a backache, I'm tired, I'm overloaded. But you just said 5 minutes ago that you were fine. And you said, okay, because you did not think. So I tend to ask the question twice, right? So the question, how are you? And you say, I'm fine. And then I ask the question again, no, really, Azza, how are you? Really, Chris, how are you? Then you say, then you think, because the first time it's a norm that we all answer, I'm fine, thank you. Because we are Malaysians, very polite, very budi bahasa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The second thing is the culture that we are in, right? So the culture and the societal attitudes when we talk about our beliefs, right? So when we talk about culture, for example, let's talk about male men, right? So you are the father at home or you are the man of the house, and then you're also a leader at work. And from young, we were told to say, or we recognize the fact that guys, no, boys don't cry. You're not supposed to be cry. You're supposed to be strong. Men don't cry. Real boys, real men are strong. So you actually don't allow these little kids from young boys to cry, to express themselves. And I don't see a reason why not, right? Because things need to be discussed for people to realize, wow, betul juga lah, actually, we don't even, say that. It's quite a norm for us to say, boys don't cry, right? So I think the culture and societal, attitude is a belief that it's a personal failing. If I tell you I've got a mental health problem, like what? Like what somebody asked you today, right? So it's like a personal failing and it's difficult to talk about your struggles. So that's the other reason why, people don't discuss, of course, judgment and stigmatization, being fear of being rejected. I don't want to friend you anymore. Oh, I better stay away from this person because, I think the way they are behaving, without knowing their story, you have already rejected the person because you think that someone told you that this person is not in the right frame of mind. Maybe they're going through something, right? So, and I think one thing that no one has touched on, which personally I feel is the media representation. Sorry if anyone's from the media here, right? So I'm thinking when you look at newspapers or stories or anything, right? I'm just wondering, why is it so much on statistics, everything that's negative that the media highlights. How many successful stories of people who went through struggles and they have come out of it due to the assistance of even whether it's a government agency or befrienders or friends or even a foundation. How many success stories has been highlighted by the media? So we get this fear when the media highlight and say, suicide is this. Number of cases of those who took their lives, via whatever the breakdowns and hurt themselves and, all these kind of things. So I think the media should play a more important role in a positive sense for mental health, where they highlight stories of people who go through difficulties, or companies. Highlight companies, give companies awards, give companies recognition that they're doing something about mental health for their employees. Right. And I think many of people don't realize that when we talk about mental health, I have said this before, and I think Chris has heard me talk about this story, where we are very quick to be advocates and judge. But some of these mental health issues are rooted very deeply, and they are issues over generations or from young, which you need a psychiatrist to spend months and months and months with you. Not even you or me, even though we are both in medical field, we are not the experts to go down that road and dig and, and find where is that root cause, right? So that one, we really need to know where to send them off to and get them some help and, things like that. And I think the other thing is, of course, lack of resources. We don't have much resources out there. I mean, thank you so much for doing this session today. Right? But there are not that many people who want to have conversations on this topic. The resources, or where do you actually go to? I know one of our mentees, I think I've shared with you, that came on our mentoring session on one of the Friday nights, and Chris is one of our mentors there as well, and who told our friend that she wants to commit suicide. And what do you say when someone comes and tells you, I think I want to take my life? And do you know what actually upset her most? Because her father, and parents have divorced, and her father actually said, go and pray. And I think that caused more harm than good, because the last thing that she wants is reminded at that point that she even failed God, right? So it's a lot of things why people don't want to discuss this, the professional consequences. If you're talking about in a working place, you are a leader, you are a boss in an organization. If your staff comes and tells you, I think I'm going through some mental health pressure, tension, things like that. And how many would dare to go and tell their bosses, look, I really don't feel right. I think I need to take some time off. Mentally, I'm not in the right frame of mind. How many would actually tell? They don't.
Tak berani kan?
Exactly, right? Tak berani, because people or bosses here will be thinking like, what? You mean you're going on 3 weeks leave? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Different in certain countries because they are equipped to help. The HR has things in place. Companies have policies in place. They have, I know Accenture is doing a fantastic job. I speak for Accenture a couple of times, and Accenture in Malaysia worldwide is doing big. TDCX is the other company that's doing great for mental health, because they have platforms ready for their employees and their staff. If you are not feeling too good, if you think you are going through some battles, personal battles, right? And there is a space for you. We hear you. We are not the experts, but we can find you the help that you need. So this topic is it still, when we talk about stigma, is it still out there? Definitely yes. But the more people speak openly about it, the more we can accept that it's okay not to be okay. And people respect it and open that door and that space and give you that time to say, go and heal. I can't help you, but I'll find you someone. I'm here. I think you'll find more and more people coming out to say, I need help.
Yep. I think what you said about the quick judgment when we say we have a problem, that's the stigma to that. And if you think about physical health, it's so different, right? If you say, oh, I need to have a checkup about my heart, or I need a bypass, or I need to have an operation, we are, oh, okay, take as much time as you need. Yeah. So we have a lot of empathy for that, but not for mental health at the moment. And there's going to be a lot of work still for that part. And I was interested to what you say about the boys and girl. I was reading a book recently and about when do boys and girls start to know their role, right? The society role. And somebody did this research, and apparently as young as 6 years old, it's already very clear to the kids what are the supposedly role of boys and girls. So boys will start rejecting wearing pink and all that, and vice versa, because of this stereotypical how boys should behave, how girls should behave. I find that fascinating. Again, how our upbringing really dictates how we behave in as an adult, and that was one of the things I find out in my session with my counselor, that how I process my decision making, all about how I was brought up, how what I see my father, my mother do. We always blame our parents, and it's kind of true. Sorry, my mom and dad in heaven, but we learn from their behavior, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's more that once you understand it, then you can undo the ones that doesn't quite work for you. So understanding, oh, okay, I process that decision making this way because I saw it this way. It doesn't mean it's the only way.
Well, awareness is very important, because
Yep.
when you and you are aware of what this is all about, you tend to spend some time wanting to change the norm, because we grew up differently. Our parents treated us differently. They did not know any better. Let's put it this way.
Yeah,
right?
and it works for them at that time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Survival mode for most of them. Yeah.
Right. Yes. So to them, everything was spare the rod and spoil the child sort of thing. Today, try that, and it may not work with your child who at 3 years old is, going to go on Google and search, what if my parents hit me? Where do I go? Who do I call? Sort of thing. Right. So have changed. So we can't go back and say, oh, but that's how we were brought up. Right. So education and awareness is very, very important, and also having open, honest conversations with people of the right frame, in the right frame of mind to have conversations with you, because not everyone is okay to have such conversations, and you should respect that.
Yep. I agree with that. And we have, I wrote it down a bit down the line, but along this is, as managers, how do we pick up better that our staff are having some problems? I think that's a big task for all those who are managers here. Maybe you can share what have you seen from your work so far, Aliyah?
Yeah, I think during COVID, I spent a lot of time with companies on employee-employer engagements. I had to be the perantaraan, go-between person for employers and employees. Because I think then to now, you have this where employers were thinking of the bottom line and very worried with what's going to happen with the economy, right? And today, of course, when we talk about even our ringgit versus the dollar, it's just not in the favor of employers, especially if you're in the business line. Now, for employees, on the other hand, you get worried. Are you going to be let go? Is there going to be a rechange in terms of policy? Are you going to be sent off to somewhere else and you have to multitask or take over two other people's jobs? Are you going to have a pay cut? So we went through all this, and although I would say a lot of things are settled, but we find that you have to understand that the way we are working today has changed post-pandemic. I don't think anyone can say, oh, let's go back to 2018, because no one is working the way when you were working in 2018. Things have changed whether you like it or not. So two things, to your question, when you want to spot signs and symptoms, to me, I think firstly, let's not even put performance, because every boss and every organization will say, find out how he's performing, and you see a slack and you go after him. But I think personally, to have that personal touch is first understanding you would know your employee better. Even if you don't, because they may not be your direct, the person who is directly reporting to you, but you will have other people in the organization who would know them better. Check out the signs and symptoms there. Have they been quieter lately, or are they even noisier lately? Not everyone who's go through mental health is quieter. There are some people who actually are noisier. Yeah. So, and then are they looking tired? Are they looking unhappy? Was there any triggering factors, like did someone in the family die? Did they go through a divorce? Is it that the kid has, did not get any placement now in university now that SPM is over? So you got to look at those kind of things first before looking into performance. Because it's 99% of the time I hear employers tell me or bosses tell me when we even have a cup of coffee, they say, his performance has dropped. And I go, what else? And they are like, what do you mean? I'm like, okay, you said the performance have dropped. So what else? Because why the performance has dropped should be a question, right? Because it channels back to a few questions that you need to answer as the boss. Are you giving him the right tools, right? If you're saying that it's nothing to do with personal, it's work, then are you giving the support? Are you giving the right tools? Are you listening, right? So I think these are the things that you want to look out and say and ask yourself. Few things that you want to go on the left-hand side is to look personally, did that person go through? Try and find out, has he been unhappy lately, right? And any debts, any reason why the person is not performing. Even if everything seems to be rosy, there are times when the person is performing well, no signs and symptoms at all, and suddenly one day snap. Why? Because with people with mental health, do not go around saying, hello, I've got mental health problems. They don't go there. They don't do that, right? Neither they write a piece of paper. If they ever write a piece of paper, it's a little bit too late, right? But having said that, in an organization, I think my advice to people who have the say in an organization, if you're an HR, you are the boss, you are a leader, my humble request is that you have platforms or someone readily available or things that are in place to show that you are supporting. For example, a simple things like, yes, do you need a counselor? We will provide you a counseling service. Yes, you need to speak to someone. We will get you someone that you could speak to. Right? Yes, we have a room that you think you need to go and have half an hour time out because you're not feeling good. Yes, you can have a week off, right? Because you need to recuperate, come back, but this is what's waiting for you when you're back. And let's see, or what is it that you need for us to support you? I think these are the little things which matters a lot to employees. And for employees not to take advantage and say, oh, everybody got mental health problem today. Because they want that leave, they want that time off, they want a lot of things. So I think if you're looking in terms of an organization, for me, the experience when I speak to organizations, I speak to HR, I speak to employees, I speak to employers, I hear everyone. I'm in the middle listening to everyone, especially in the manufacturing industry where the numbers are really wide and really large. I hear all sorts, but it boils down to the employer first before the employee. Is the organization equipped to help employees today who are going through mental health challenges? That's the question that I would like to ask. If the employees can really say, yes, we have everything in place, we have someone they can talk to, we can support in any way, we can bring in a counselor if they need to. Once a month, we have a tea session. Yes, we can have open, honest conversations. If you're struggling, yes, we can provide you assistance. Then I think you are safe. Then the ball is in the employee's court. Like everything provided for you, but you do not want to accept the help, right? And then there's a question mark of why. Is it because you don't trust? So these are the things that you want to put it all out there and then look at it. And, there's just so much of signs and symptoms that come on later, but performance should not be the first thing that you say the employee is not performing.
No, actually, from my experience, these days we often have high performance team, so therefore the performance is quite late or didn't even suffer, that they are so good at continuing their work under stress, under the pressure, that it doesn't really show in their work. So for me, what I've learned from a couple of incidents is I need to be more aware of the little signs that you mentioned, a little bit quieter or a little bit noisier, or just not participating. So the more subtle sign, I need to be more aware, and then to be asking what you said just now much earlier about how are you, really, how are you? That to spend my one-to-one with my team members, really also asking about the personal side and not only about work. So I've been more conscious of that since I realized my team are quite a high-performing team, that many of them are coping with it. Therefore, if I look only at performance, and then I would miss it. Yeah. So
Because they can perform if they are okay and they are happy at the workspace, everything is going. I mean, look, we all have challenges.
Yep.
We can't say that we all come to work and we are perfect. We all have challenges, and it's only a different level and different types of challenges.
You're not perfect, Aliyah?
Definitely not. I don't get road rage like you, because I've learned the fact that when I, someone cuts in front of me and they are blasting their music, they are happy and I'm unhappy, and then they've gone off, and then I'm still thinking, so what's the point, right? So, so these are the things that I have learned over this period of 10 years to cut down, take off, take away, put aside, make changes, and etc., etc.
Right. Okay. All right. I think we have a lot of comments actually. So I think we'll start going through from the chat. So from Charlene said, stress is a huge contributor. So how do you handle stress, Aliyah?
Well, not all stress are bad stress. I don't know why people tend to think that stress is bad. One. Two is the question that I would like to ask many, not just Charlene. I'm sure she recognizes stress, but to many people, I think they get mistaken between stress and anxiety. So you really need to find out what is stress and how is this stress affecting you. Let me give you a good example. Last week, a friend told me I'm very stressed. I said, why? My mother-in-law is coming to town. So I'm thinking, mother-in-law coming to town, you're stressed. So my next question is, but I thought you liked your mother-in-law. And she said, yes, I do. I said, so why are you saying it's stress? Actually, what she meant to say, then she explained, and she said, I haven't done the shopping, I haven't done the cleaning, and this is anxiety. It's not actually stress. You are anxious because it's you like your mother-in-law, right? So it's actually anxiety. But we in Malaysia, or rather, as human beings, we like to use the word stress. Everything is, I stress. University students, I am on a board of 2 universities. When I do give talks, both the universities I am where I am adjunct at, they keep telling me, Dato, I'm very stressed, I'm very stressed, I'm very stressed. And I'm thinking, do you feel like committing suicide? And they get, gee, no lah. Then I said,
stressed,
and they say, no, ish, mashallah, tak ada lah, Dato. I said, then you keep saying it's stress. Oh, because I've got an assignment that is due. Never mind that you did not do it earlier. You waited to the last minute, and then you're saying it's stress, right? So I think the word stress itself, if you can recognize what is stress, is when there's so much of pressure put on you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure put on you, and you are feeling it, and it is a negative, not a positive, because positive stress is good. I work very well under stress and pressure. So when I'm pressured and stressed, I really can do work very fast and very well, because I'm one of those who sometimes procrastinate. Okay, so I do admit that. But when you are really, really under pressure, not just to perform, but personally, and when people have lost their jobs and they have a family to feed, and they have house rent to pay, and the bank has given them this letter to say you need to vacate, now that's stress. You're very stressful because you really don't know what to do, how to make ends meet. Now that's stress. So I think we need to first define stress, right? And what kind of stress. And another thing that my sort of 2 cents worth is this: when things have not happened, don't look upon it as stress, because you are already justifying that you are going to have stress before it even happened. Oh, I'm very stressed. Next month, I got exam. Next month, exam pun belum lagi. Why you stressed? Wait lah.
Yeah, it's a storm is coming. I remember one person told me that a storm is coming. I said, what storm? He said, that's a storm is coming. And I'm like, again, this is your mind telling you about the stress that hasn't happened. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, for me, if I'm stressed, I go to the gym.
Oh yeah, that's a
Gym
good
is
one.
great for that, and I do a little bit of
Yeah.
meditation as well from time to
Right.
time.
I
That's
tend to color when I'm stressed because it takes my mind off things because I need to look at the tiny things that I need to color and I need to think what color goes to what color. So I tend to
exactly.
do a lot of coloring or painting because I love paint art, right? So that's my de-stress. So everyone should find what
What
you
takes your mind away? Yeah, because
get.
I go to the gym and I need to concentrate. I don't want the barbell to drop on my head. So yeah, I need to be fully concentrating on what I do.
Yeah.
Okay, the next three comment is about what we discussed earlier about talking about saying I'm fine. So from Subetra, Dr. Niti, and Rupa, that isn't in our culture to do that. Afzul said that good news doesn't sell media. Yep, that's right. And Charlene said here, question in job applications form and whether we are declaring our state of health. This is difficult topic. It's not just about mental health and also other physical health. I've had this question before and it is a tricky one. In theory, it shouldn't be discriminating, but
Yes.
we all know the reality is a little bit different. So for this, I'm afraid from my side, it's difficult to give a definite advice whether you should declare or not declare. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Dr. Niti agreed that the media should highlight more success story. And Subetra spot on Aliyah on something you said earlier, which one I'm not sure. And then this one, Lavinia, ignorance and the lack of empathy among people on the knowledge and understanding of mental health. Yep, I think that contributed to the stigma currently. Nimala, thank you, Nimala, about agreed positive stories from media should highlight more stories. In USA, they do it most of the time from Rupa. So yeah, they have much better awareness over there. And Charlene said again about the HR, that discriminating. Yep, that is correct. Some HR can be like that. South Africa also have good wellness scheme. Wow, that is good. So we need to think about South Africa and also America. Nimala is about our responses is based on our upbringing, exposure. This one from Charlene, Aliyah. How do we put staff health, mental or otherwise, above ROI?
Well, it's a very good question, Charlene. Thank you for the question. It starts from the top. And I think one role that we can play as leaders, if you are in a leadership position, if you're in HR, is to actually put this out there on the table and not skirt around this topic or make assumptions that the board or the bosses will only want ROI and not look into these areas. The agenda is yours to push in HR. It's not for so much for the bosses, because you must understand, again, in certain organizations, if it's a very, I'm not being racist here, yeah, but if you're having an organization where for turun temurun or descendants down is owned by, this Chinese old man and a businessman, and they're doing, say, for example, a glove business or printing business, it's a small family business, you have 5 employees, the last thing on their mind is to tell you, oh, we have a policy on mental health. Right? But if you're in an international based company, or you're in a company where the bosses understand HR policies, they have a handbook, they have structures, policies, procedures in place, then it's the best time to push for this policy to tell them, look, this is important. It backs up with some statistics, not just saying, okay, let's have mental health as an agenda, but it should back up, you should back it up with some statistics of, look, we've done a survey in the organization and how many % of the staff feels that they would like to have open conversations during tea time at least once a month, or we should address conversations on, okay, how you doing, have even open talks. I used to have these tea talks once a month, every Wednesday, over whether it was goreng pisang or whatever, at 4 o'clock on Wednesdays, where everyone can come and update, because we are so busy with work, we don't even know what the other departments are doing, or if someone had a baby, how they're doing, or if someone just came out of a hospital after an operation, how someone is doing, right? So we actually...
Oh, I like that. That sounds really good.
Yeah, so once a month, or you can do it every fortnight, but I used to do it once a month on Wednesdays, and everyone was looking forward to it, because that's where their conversations are shared with everybody, not just the same gang that they go out for lunch with, right? I'm gang with you, I know what's happening. But the person from accounts department who's on a different floor that does not even know you. So, or did not even realize that you came out after an operation and, so things like this matter. And it started way back in Japan. When I was in Japan many years ago for a visit, in the morning in the industry, because in the medical line, we do factory audits, right? So I went to visit this dialyzer factory, and in the morning, everyone was standing saying something I didn't understand until the interpreter told me that in the morning, before they start work, each of them says something about what had happened either the day before or with the family or themselves, something short, like, for example, today I forgot to bring my lunch to work, or I missed the train, or today, I fell in the morning, or my child is sick. They only say that and that's it, and they start work. But what happens is during the lunchtime, the person picks up and say, hey, by the way, this morning you did say that your son is sick. How is your son now?
Oh, wow. So interesting, eh?
Exactly, right? So based on that, whichever organization that I had led, I made sure that this happened because I found that it helped.
Okay. Is Travis still online? Travis, we need to do this.
Yes, I think we can consider doing this. Can start among our medical team. Be interesting.
Forever talking about, okay, where's the next meeting? What is the budget? Did you, Dr. Azhar, probably Travis will go after you to say, oh, by the way, how was the paper? Have you finished this paper? What's the latest with you? Have you gone? How many customers have you visited? It's always about work talk.
About work, yeah.
Yeah, but to bring people closer and be part of a team, part of a family, you don't even need to spend so much of money on team building. Sorry if there's any trainers around here, so am I, but it's little things that actually contribute. So HR should push the agenda and bring it up and make, Charlene, you're very good at this, make as much noise as you can in any organization that you're going, that we need to have things like this as part of your policy.
The more casual stuff, right? It's casual but personal. Get to know people better.
Be a practice, not necessarily a policy. Yeah.
Yep. So a comment from Sham: I have performed very well at work, even though I was not doing well mentally. Yeah. So that's what I discussed earlier. The high performer can still function very well. Yeah. And just because from Charlene, just because someone is smiling doesn't mean they are okay. Yep, agree. We said that earlier. From Dr. Niti, performance management has to be continuous process instead one-off annually. We can catch many mental health issues among our employee. Yeah. So for me, I have a regular meeting with my team member one-to-one every 2 weeks actually. So we decided that 2 weeks is the nice cadence. It's not very long, 30 minutes, but every 2 weeks for us to catch up and see that we are all okay. From Lavinia, people are quick to judge faster than are willing to understand. This also tells us something about them. Yep, I agree with that fully.
Yes.
Abdul also said managers must make time to talk to employees beyond just work matters. Yep, we discussed that. Rupa also, I would say same thing just now. Abdul, wow, impressive. South Africa has a national mental health policy framework, 2023 until 2030. Wow, that's very impressive. Yeah, Radha, just now we discussed this already. Yep, functioning with mental health issues. We need to be more aware of that, more aware to the subtle signs. Vilva is like always anticipating the worst case, right? Nimala, a bit longer. Right. Okay. So this is a coping mechanism from Nimala that we're stressed about breathing. Many stress management tips includes breathing, and I also agree. It's very simple and often overlooked. And we learned that in yoga yesterday, right, Travis? Nimala, fantastic approach to opening up with each other. I think must be to what you said just now, Aliyah. Oh, Subetra, this is interesting. So interesting to hear you say you pick up the sharing session from Japan when they have quite a high number of suicides due to work stress. Yeah, any comment on that, Aliyah?
Yeah, but it is true that they do have quite a high number when we talk about world statistics. You're absolutely right, Subhitra. But this is why the reason of them wanting to do this is because they recognize the fact that they are very high pressured working force that they have. So therefore, they try and little methods to even get the employees to function this way. And this is one of the things that they had started years ago. It doesn't mean that just because they do it that they're not going to have, suicide. Similarly, I would give you, it's like we have so many talian in Malaysia. Why are we having so many suicide cases, right? Because we have from Miasa to Snenam to Talian Kasih to Befrienders to Malaysian Health to Y Health. We have about 40 to 50 places, paid or not paid, for people, and yet it is, so it's very individual based when we talk about suicide and why the employees are suicidal or committing suicide. But I would say that they are a country who has been trying, and if you look at the internet recently, all workstations now have their chairs can be converted into beds, so that in the afternoons they turn the chair into beds and they all get half an hour to rest. To sleep.
So nice.
Yeah. And then they can push it. So everyone after their quick lunch for 15 minutes or something, they get half an hour, put the chair becomes a bed, and they slide it. It's right under their desk.
Wow.
So, yeah. So if you Google, you will see the picture. So that's happening in Japan and being picked up by other countries as well. But you are absolutely right, Subhitra, about the numbers. Yeah.
Awesome. That's I'm gonna mention that to our HR about the bed tomorrow.
Jangan tertidur sudah.
And another question for you, Aliyah, from Travis. Any other practices you've learned during your career that can be implemented in companies to increase awareness of mental health or create a happier, more open environment? So any other tips?
Yeah. I said this at TDCX the other day, right? Because I think today we're not just talking about mental health. We also need to address issues around mental health, which is sometimes today we're talking about DEI space, we're talking about culture, we're talking about acceptance, we're talking about people with disabilities, right? And so when we talk about mental health in a working environment, it's not because you carried baggage into the organization or like an MNC. It's also because you cannot get along with your employees or your friends or your colleagues at work, your peers, right? It's also because you may not adjust to that new working environment, new style, new job, new function. You were not promoted. So there's also this DEI where it's a diversity, equity rather than equality, and inclusiveness which comes in. So my advice to you, Travis, is you can kickstart by inviting, because now that your boss has said okay to once a month or 2 weeks once that you're having discussions, invite people to come and share stories in your organization, and many people will say yes. So come and give everyone, because you see, it's like teaching your own children tuition. Chris Chung will tell you it doesn't work. Why even a teacher, you will have to find a tuition teacher for your kids, because your kids always learn better with other people and not you. So in an organization, they don't want to hear the boss anymore. It's like saying when you have a problem, go to HR. Believe me, half the time people do not want to go to HR because they are so afraid that HR will go and leak their secrets out. Right? So you need a third party, you need an outsider. So one of the things that you can do, Travis, is to actually invite community leaders out there, people out there to come and share success stories of what's happened in another organization that you can adopt in yours. And little things matter. Okay? Hope.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Aliyah. And that goes to the next comment from Anis. So thank you, Anis, for writing this. So Anis wrote down that he shared his mental health topic with his company in a meeting. And after the meeting, many people then came up to him to say that they are also having the same problem and they didn't know what to do, where to go. So he said that it's really useful to share, be able to share his experience in the company meeting. So exactly what you said earlier, bringing people from outside who has the same issue and has found some solutions, sharing those ideas will stimulate more discussion and make people be more, be more courageous to come up with to come up and discuss it with you as well. Yeah. Charlene has a question. I have a tendency to feel I need to be strong for everyone, even though I myself could be struggling at the time. How do I deal with this? Because I'm putting extra pressure on myself. And yeah, you comment on that, Aliyah?
Yes, you are absolutely right that that's part of your personality, because everyone comes first before you, Charlene. And yes, I attest to that, right? But I think firstly, we need to, one of the things that, my advice to many people and my suggestion more than advice is actually what worked for me. I tend to ask myself what works, what do I like and what do I don't like? My first thing, because I've got very strong likes and dislikes. I figured that one out. So I tend to ask myself, and I need to know myself first, right? So what is it that I like and what is it that I dislike? And then I need to be able to say yes to what I like. And I should be able and must be able to say no. For example, since it's Dr. Azhar's show, I'll tell you, he and a few friends say, come, let's have a durian party. No way. As much as I love them to bits, no way. I'm allergic to the smell.
Terrible behavior.
I'm not going to go and put up with a group of people that I love because I do not like the whole fact that they're having a durian party. I should be able to say no, and as if they are my real friends, they should be able to understand and say, okay, like what I think Sharon said, let's have a coffee on another day since you don't like durians, right? So you don't need to be able to show other people, right? Even if you want to be kind or empathetic, you don't need to tell people I'm kind, I'm empathetic. So I think it also in a large crowd. Sometimes some people are introverts. They don't like large crowds. Why torture yourself? So the whole thing is we put pressure on ourselves. I totally agree. I've been there, right? And I work with so many nonprofits. So been there, done it. But at the end of the day, I have come to a point where I ask myself, who am I doing this for? Yeah. Right? It's not about what am I getting out of it, but who am I doing this for and how did I feel? I should be having both positive instead of one positive, one negative. Yes, I'm doing something good for somebody out there, and it was on my own time, my own space, and I'm happy. 2 ticks. Yay, go ahead and do it. I'm doing it because somebody asked me. I don't know how to say no, so I have to go and do it, but I really don't have the time, so let me rush and do it. I come back, I'm so tired, and because of that, it affected the rest of my work, the rest of my day. To me, that's a no. And today, I'll be able to tell you, no, I'm sorry, I cannot do it now. I may want to do it later, and things like that. So it's not about, the bottom line is this, it's not about everybody else. It comes back to, it's your mental health. It's your body. It's your strength. It's your energy. So why give that away just to satisfy someone?
Yeah, I agree. For me, when I do my priority, it's quite simple. Me first, family, good friends, other friends, and then work. That is my hierarchy of priority. If you stick to that, you should be okay. Yeah. But have to be quite ruthless, like you said just now, about saying no when it doesn't suit your mental health. So that part need to be.
What can go wrong when you say no?
Most of the time, nothing. Yeah. Most
right? If they know, they go and find somebody else, and that person might even suit them better. So recently, I've been taking down a lot of talks because I've been quite, caught up for especially if you're going out, so go to an organization, things like that. I don't say no on most of the time, but my question is, why me? What would I be able to give to them? Will it be beneficial to them? Am I the right person? If I'm not the right person, let me find you the right person, that kind of thing. I think that would suit better rather than take everything on your plate. In English, there's a saying, don't bite more than you can chew. So please don't bite more than you can chew.
So yeah, so a comment to what we just discussed. Sham said saying no has been the biggest game changer for her. Charlene said thank you, boss lady. And then Travis also said thank you for your earlier comment. And Lavinia made a mention about people need to be more empathetic. Radha said great advice. And Dr. Niti shared, I think that's the South African National Mental Health Policy Framework. And then let's see. Yeah, Nimala also agreed that spot on. We need to be more conscious about our own choices. Yep. And Prema. Oh, Prema also online. Hello, Prema. Well articulated points, Aliyah. Right. Okay, now we are at 9:32, Aliyah. Believe it or not, it has been an hour.
Ada session 2 ke?
I think we could go on forever on this, but let's not because
We need to
said
take care
that
of our mental health, so let's not.
absolutely. So we said that we will finish at 9:30. In case there's any more question, please type it quickly. Otherwise, we'll be closing the session already. I want to say thank you so much to Aliyah for tonight. I thought that was really great with what you shared from your personal experience. There were many tips already that people can take away for what you can do personally. And then most importantly as well at the workplace, if you are a manager, what can you do to be a better support managers, better supportive manager to your team? And I thought that's very important, as some of you here are managers, and we can take this away with us. Yep. So I want to finish off. Okay, normally we get some feedback, but I can see already people are writing. Thank you. Lovely sharing. What a wonderful session. Thank you for all that feedback. I think me and Aliyah come onto this without any much pre-planning. We just wanted to share our personal stories, and we hope that people will get some benefit from that. So thank you very much for that. And I want to close by saying that I have a TikTok channel where I share my career tips. So if you want to hear me babble some more, then you can scan and link to me on that. And then I write a longer piece. If you prefer reading rather than watching videos, I write a newsletter every 2 weeks where I cover aspects of career progression. So thank you very much, everybody. Good night. Thank you, Aliyah.
You're most welcome. Thank you, everybody. It was nice to meet all of you. Most of you I don't even know yet. So nice to meet you all on the line.
I'm sure they'll connect with you after this, Aliyah.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Yes.
More happy to have more friends.
Thank you. Good night,
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, there's a hug from
Bye.
Charlene. Thank you, Charlene. Hugs from
That's
us.
great. That's great.
Yes,
Thank
hugs
you.
from us too. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Asa. Thank you, Dato Aliyah. Good
Thank
night.
you. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Stop recording. If I can find recording. Stop recording.